on page 1. Here we go.
Let's start at the beginning, right?
Start at the beginning. All right. So today the goal is to talk about building balanced meals. So we're going to talk about, of course, all the macros, but a little less stressful than RP, which I think everyone in the group at the moment has done before. So I'm going to give y'all some of the science behind it, but try not to nerd out too much.
I don't believe it.
Do what?
I don't believe it.
You don't believe it? Okay. Well,
That you might nerd out on it.
I'm going to try. So, let's see. All right. So we want to make sure that we are balancing our meals because that's going to provide you with a source of protein, fat, and carbs with each meal. That's going to help you to feel satisfied. It's going to help you to sustain energy and to feel full for longer. Not only does balancing your meal provide you with energy, but it's going to help you with growth, recovery, and important metabolic functions. So understanding how to balance your meals with the proper portion sizes is going to be a good foundation for your just overall health and wellness. So step 1, you're going to pick your protein source. So I confess that I am going to nerd out just a little bit on protein. I've got, let's see, I'm going to share with y'all a cool source that I found talking about, it's from beefnutrition.org, talks about like the fat content of different types of protein sources. So the lowest is going to be boneless, skinless chicken breast, of course, also going to be the driest if you've ever cooked it. So that's why I used in my soup yesterday, because soup is made with all liquid pretty much, and everything that's placed in the crock pot with the for the soup is soaked in liquid. So that helps a little bit with the dryness, but then it doesn't contribute any extra fat to the meal. So I can add in my own fat source without guilt. So as you go down the list, you're going to have a little bit higher fat source. And fat is not bad. Fat is a good thing, and we're going to get to that later. But it's going to be, for me personally, I would rather go with the lean meat and then add in my own healthy fat source. And I'll talk about fats here in a minute and all the different types of fat. Kim's busy, kids.
Yeah. Oh, wait.
Get them, Kim.
So here is some other nutritional facts. If you guys want me to send this to you, I'd be happy to. It talks about fat, poultry, and then different types of fish. If you buy fish like canned fish, like canned tuna, you want to get the type of canned tuna that is not canned in oil. You want it canned in water. So I'm going to close that. I will send that to you if you would like to have it. But let me go back to my PowerPoint. I'm still learning all this stuff. So protein, here's all the nerd coming out in me. Protein is made up of it's a large molecule that's made up of smaller molecules called amino acids. So that's going to be what makes up all of the tissues in your body, and also the enzymes that control reactions in your body and most of your bodily functions at some level. So human proteins are going to be made of 20 amino acids, and your body can produce 11 of those, but 9 of them have to come from your food sources. So there's a balance in your life between breaking down protein and making more protein, called protein turnover. So some of that protein is going to be lost in urine, sweat, other bodily fluids, and you're constantly losing sources of protein in your own body through skin, hair, the intestinal lining, and those are all normal processes. And other amino acids are burned for energy, especially when you're low on carbs and fats. So replenishing your protein source is going to help with metabolism and help with all of those functions in your body. It's critical for survival and for just general health. It plays a really important role in your body composition, and muscle mass is constructed from protein. So whenever we are low on protein, you're not going to be very healthy. So in general, the minimum amount of protein that's recommended is 0.3 grams of protein per pound of body weight. You don't have to do the math. Really, ideally, you just want to stick with the plate method is going to help you to get that protein source. The max that you want to take in typically is going to be 2 grams of protein per pound of body weight. Otherwise, it's really hard on your kidneys. Okay, so yay protein. So protein is going to provide you with those amino acids for muscle building and for recovery. It also helps you to stay full and feel more satisfied. It comes from different, when it comes to protein sources, you want to look at lean proteins with your meals, such as chicken breast, turkey, egg whites, and fish. But be aware of the high protein or high fat protein sources, because they can contain up to 5 grams of fat per ounce of protein. That's going to be like ribeye and chicken wings. On average, it's going to provide you with 4 calories per gram and should be about 30% of your daily caloric intake. So here, this is going to be on that fun folder that we provided for you guys on the kickoff. And it's also been sent to you on in an email for the kickoff. So if you guys need me to resend it to you, I'm happy to. But these are going to be recommendations for different protein sources. So when you look at the left-hand side, that's going to be your lower fat proteins. One that I really like that's not in this list is going to be dairy sources, like fat-free Greek yogurt, fat-free cottage cheese. Those are going to be really good lean protein sources. For me, especially, that's a great breakfast because I don't always like to have eggs or egg whites with my breakfast.
On the Zone, isn't the cottage cheese, isn't that like carb and protein at the same time?
Well, for me personally, I look at it and I try to pick a good cottage cheese, and I do include it in my carb source as well. But
Okay.
it's going to be more, well, so that's the reason why I always do like half cottage cheese, half Greek yogurt. For me, it's sort of a texture issue too, but cottage cheese is going to be a little bit higher in carbs than the yogurt is, but they're both pretty high in protein. Okay, so next step is going to be to choose your carbohydrate source. Carbs get a bad rap. We kind of talked about this at the kickoff, but many foods are going to fit under your carb umbrella, such as fruit, sugar, bread, pasta, grains, even the starchy veggies like sweet potatoes and butternut squash. But carbs are going to break down into glucose, which is your body's preferred source of fuel. We require carbs daily to fuel your brain. Carbs are going to give you 4 calories per gram. Your goal is going to be anywhere from 30 to 40% of your daily caloric intake should be from carb sources. A little bit nerd for just a minute. So carbs are also large molecules, but they come in different categories. So you've got monosaccharides, disaccharides, and polysaccharides. Monosaccharides are going to be those simple sugars. They're going to be the ones that as soon as you eat it, it hits your bloodstream right away. So these are going to be like rescue for somebody that has low blood sugar, or these are great resources if you're like in the middle of a competition and you need to replenish your glycogen stores really quickly. So glucose, fructose, and galactose are going to be the 3 different types of sugar. And then disaccharides are going to be 2 molecule combinations of monosaccharides used to form a single large molecule. These are going to be sucrose, which is a glucose and a fructose that are bonded together. Lactose, which is a glucose and a galactose bonded, and then maltose, which is two glucoses bonded. Polysaccharides are going to be your complex carbohydrates, so it's a long string of monosaccharides that are chained together, which includes starch, which is a digestible form of glucose linked together, cellulose, which is a fiber, mostly indigestible by humans, but it's made up of glucose molecules, and then glycogen, which is what it's an irregular matrix of connected glucose molecules, but it is the most common form of carbohydrates that is stored in your muscle tissue and in your liver. So carbs, aside from fiber, can be converted into glucose inside your body and used for transporting. It's transported to cells and broken down for immediate energy use. It's going to be circulated in your blood to provide glucose to needy cells like your neuron cells, and that store most of the fuel of their own, and they prefer to have glucose. And then it's going to be transported to the liver to assemble as glycogen for storage. And then liver glycogen can be broken down to release glucose into the blood whenever your blood sugar levels fall low. So those people that go on a like a low carb or no carb diet, they actually break down their own liver to provide themselves with glucose. It's called gluconeogenesis. And when the byproduct of that breakdown is called ketones, so that's what causes ketosis. That's why it's called a keto diet. And those people are going to have like a fruity smelling breath. And that's like one of the things that you're like, you know that you're in ketosis if you've got fruity breath. Well, that means that your body's breaking down your liver. It's not great. So it's also going to be, all of these types of carbohydrates are going to be transported to your skeletal muscles to assemble glycogen for storage. And when your muscles are working at higher intensities of effort, anything that's going to be hard like a jog or harder, then you rely heavily on that stored glycogen to provide yourself with energy to power those contractions. So that's why, and these are things that you're going to learn also in your L1 class when they're going to talk about like the different metabolic pathways. John, you're familiar with that as well. So carbs are important.
So, like the easier to break down carbs are going to be like you were talking to, like you've sold me Enhance on gummy, and I guess maybe even Wit or Kim on it, like gummy bears for the quick digesting stuff, right?
When you actually read the ingredients list of gummy bears, the first ingredient is either dextrose or glucose. And that is simple sugar. It immediately goes into your bloodstream and starts replenishing your glycogen stores. So I always tell people carbs are not bad, but they each have a purpose. So
Yeah.
I'll show you guys this this list again. And this is in your kickoff handout thing. But in this list, you see the 4 different categories. So this is set up like a stoplight. You know, you've got green light, red light, yellow light. And the red light doesn't mean stop. It just means think about it. Use them for a purpose. So glucose is going to be in that high glycemic. So it goes into your bloodstream immediately, spikes your blood sugar. And sometimes that's what we need. Bananas, dates, John, mangoes, raisins, those are sources that are going to be high glycemic. So they spike your blood sugar. But sometimes they have a purpose for them. So it's going to be a good, quick recovery whenever your blood sugar is low. But you want to try to focus on having those volume carbs that are on the right-hand side in green. That's what you want to have as the half of your plate. And that's a pretty good sized list. A lot of those do fall into that seasonal shopping guide that we had on the last talk that I did, where we talked about like what's in season right now. It's going to be not only higher in nutrients because it hasn't spent a week on a truck trying to get to you from where it's in season, but they're also going to be cheaper at the store because it's easier for them to find them right now.
So
So
when we're trying to get carbs or vegetables in our diet, this is the non-starchy carbs. This is a great list to pick from, right?
perfect, yes. And
I
then,
have a question, Heather.
yes, ma'am.
So when we're talking about the quick carbs, like the gummy bears and the glucose, is that ideally before you do a workout or as you are diminishing your carbs through a workout? Okay.
The goal on that is if you're doing a marathon, absolutely eat as you go. If you are doing one of them quick 5-minute burners, you should not have to stop and eat gummy bears in the middle of it. If you need to look at the other 23 hours and 55 minutes of your life and reevaluate things.
That's right.
Because
Okay,
that
I got
actually means that you're not taking in enough carbs as the day goes on.
Hey, spaghetti squash isn't on this list, or is that included in regular squash, even on the right-hand side?
I don't know because they've got butternut squash and kabocha. I don't know what that is.
Butternut squash, and I would say butternut squash and spaghetti squash are probably in the same neighborhood, but
Yeah, I don't know if we can look up the glycemic index of those. I've got another nerd resource. Hang on, let me find it.
because I used to think that like it was really weird. Like we started eating spaghetti squash probably and a little bit more often than usual, probably 2 or 3 years ago. And for whatever reason, like if I ate that for dinner
Uh-huh.
the night before a big workout, the next time we worked out, it was like I had extra energy. And I don't know if it was like a accidental carb loading or where it was what it was.
Yeah. So this is another resource that I have. We're all trying to get away from RP, but this is from the Renaissance 2.0 book, Renaissance Diet book. They've rated the glycemic index of different foods. So you see at the very top, you've got pure dextrose sugar, which in the hospital we would take this and it would be U10W, 10% dextrose put into sterile water. And this is how we would recover a patient that has low blood sugar because it's 100% on the glycemic index as far as how quickly your body processes it. And then you get down to the bottom, you've got pure insoluble fibers. Above that, hummus dip. I wouldn't use that as a carb source, but okay. But then the rest of these is like how quickly is your body going to process them. You look at brown rice is right there in the middle. White rice is a little bit higher, so that's kind of going to give you incentive as far as what type of rice you choose to eat if you do want that to be your starch source. But we can look up the glycemic index of spaghetti squash. I would be interested to find that out. Y'all have any other carb questions? No? Okay. So starchy carbs, non-starchy carbs, or also known as volume carbs. So you want to understand the difference between the two whenever you're building your balanced meals. The green list for me, I try to, like even my non-starchy stuff, like I think I live on blackberries. And right now, like I don't think I'm going to go to the grocery store today, but today they have blackberries, the little 6-ounce boxes are 5 for $5. That's like a steal. But they're so high in fiber, and the fruits that you're going to be eating, the seed, such as blackberries, raspberries, strawberries, because the seed is like part of the fruit that you eat. The seeds that are inside those are called lignans. It's a type of fiber that has a rotor-rooter effect in your bowel. So those are all, important aspects of getting old. So you want to I try to make that left-hand side of the page be my my slide. So like yesterday for lunch at work, I had green beans, quinoa, um, some almonds added for fat, and some like frozen chicken breast strips, like blackened chicken breast strips. It was way spicier than I thought it was going to be. But I added to it some like apple slices on the side, and so um, that was my start, was the apple slices, because I know that I can get quite a bit more of the apple higher fiber. It's going to sustain my blood sugar longer because it's going to take longer to process it. And so hopefully that's um, helpful. Okay. John sent me a link on spaghetti squash. Has a
Low glycemic.
low glycemic index, which means it will not cause a sudden spike in blood sugar like high carb alternatives. Also contains polysaccharides, which is a type of fiber that prevents blood sugar from rising after meals. Thank you for the information. Yay for nerding.
Yay, spaghetti squash. Yeah, Google.
Google for the win. So step number 3, we're going to find our fat source. So fat is another one that gets a bad rap. People think I can't eat fat because it's going to spike my cholesterol or it's going to make me fat. But it does not make you fat. Fat is actually what helps you to stay full longer. It helps you with absorbing fat-soluble vitamins. But it is the most calorie dense of the 3 macronutrients. It gives you 9 calories per gram of fat. So, and carbs and protein are only going to be 4 calories per gram. So you want to just remember that a little bit goes a long way. So we want to also try to choose plant-based sources of fat, such as avocado or olive oil. And you want to aim for your fats to be 30 to 40% of your daily intake. So let me find my nerd resource real quick and tell y'all all about fat. Let me see. Okay, fats. There's 4 types of dietary fats. So you've got monounsaturated fats. Those are fatty acids with only 1 double bond in their fatty acid chain. The molecules can exist in cis or trans configuration. So cis is it's all straight across, and then trans means that they like took something here and moved it here, and so it changes the shape of that fat molecule. So when you hear things like trans fat, that's where that comes from. And those foods become shelf stable. So you can kind of understand a little bit better, like that's what happens to your body whenever you ingest those trans fats, is that they don't process in your body the way that a cis monounsaturated fat would. Fatty acids with multiple polyunsaturated fats are going to be fatty acids that have multiple carbon to carbon double bonds in their fatty acid chain. They can also exist as cis or trans. Saturated fat means that there's no double bonds between the carbon, and it allows for maximum hydrogen bonds so that the molecule is saturated with hydrogen. So when you're looking at like the chemical makeup of the fat molecule, that's what all this is talking about. But trans fats describes the configuration of an unsaturated fat. The unsaturated fat double bonds in an unsaturated fat, double bonds between the carbons exist, preventing hydrogen from bonding and thus preventing saturation with hydrogen. So that's due to a carbon chain due to this carbon chain extends from a double bond in only 2 directions that can either extend on the same side or from opposite sides. So what that does is it changes the chemical makeup of that fatty acid or that fat.
Is this all covered on the next slide, or?
No, this is from the RP book.
Can we see the next slide in relation to what you're telling us? So maybe is there,
Yeah, let me
I
share.
just want to see the cool list of healthy fats.
Yeah. Okay. There you go.
Okay. So are these the cis or are these the trans?
These are naturally existing healthy fats. And so they are cis. They, like, if you go out and you buy shelf stable, like, you want to look at the labels, because the label's going to tell you if it is a trans fat. And because they're actually required now by FDA regulations that they have to label it as trans fat if it has trans fat in it. So essential fats, much like the essential amino acids, are fats that they're critical for survival and health, and they cannot be made by your body. So you have to consume them. Two types of essential fats in the human diet are going to be omega-6 and omega-3 polyunsaturated fatty acids. So both are available in a wide variety of food, but they can also be supplemented. So very low fat diets can put you at a risk for deficiency, especially for omega-3. Some vitamins cannot be absorbed by your GI tract without the presence of fat. So extremely low fat diets not only provide you with the risk for deficiency in the fat, but also for those fat soluble vitamins, which is A, D, E, and K. So that can cause hormone dysregulation whenever you're under eating fats. And then it messes up your hormone production. So fats are essential for your health as well. Okay, so what's next? Well, hang on, I gotta move this box, it's in my way. Okay. Okay, so the last step after you've picked your protein, your carb, and your fat source is that you want to portion your plate. So before we get into portioning your plate for lunch and dinner using the plate method, I want to talk about breakfast. Most of our convenient breakfast options are going to be loaded with carbs, and they're going to be limited on protein. So whenever you're picking out your protein or your breakfast, figuring out what you're going to eat for breakfast, the first thing that you want to look at is what your protein source is going to be. So for me, I like to have eggs, but I want to also look at the fact that the eggs are going to contain both fat and protein. So I just need to add some carbs to that. So I recommend adding non-starchy veggies. I like to add in like mushroom, onion, and bell pepper. They're good non-starchy veggies. Make an egg scramble and then pair it with some fruit. Usually blackberries, because I live on blackberries. Okay, so now we're going to talk about the plate method. It's one of the easiest and most effective ways that you can improve your diet by eating a balanced meal of high quality foods. Plate method is going to be a great rule of thumb whenever you're going out to eat or whenever you're trying to just whip up something quickly at home. So here's how you do it. You want to make half of your plate non-starchy veggies. You want to make 1/4 of your plate a lean protein. You want to do 1/4 of your plate to be your starch source. And then you want to add in a healthy plant-based source of fat. And that fat content is going to be dependent on the amount of fat that's going to be in your protein source. So pro tips for setting up your plate method. You want to eat your non-starchy veggies first, and then you want to eat your protein. Eating in that order is going to help you with filling your stomach. There's actually like fibers at the top of your stomach that stretch and release a hormone that tells your body you are satisfied and you can stop eating. So whenever we try to work towards that mindful eating, where you're not just like, I'm notorious for eating standing up. Like, my husband will come in while I'm getting ready for work and he's like, are you going to sit down to eat your breakfast? And I'm like, nope, can't. I'm a nurse. that's what I do, right, Kim? We don't sit down to eat. And so I will, I try to be more mindful. So I try to eat those non-starchy veggies first, help provide my body with volume in my stomach, and then I add in my protein source, eat my protein source next. And then, because that's going to be the most essential, you know, like if nutrition is the foundation, then really the foundation is protein. And then you want to eat your starch. And then if you say, I am still hungry and I want more food, you go back for more of those non-starchy veggies. Okay, so to kind of recap, step 1, you want to pick your protein. Step 2, you want to pick your carb source. Step 3, you want to add in some healthy fats. And then step 4, set up the plate method. So whenever you continue practicing this, making a balanced meal should become second nature in no time. So I want to challenge you guys to try this process. I'm going to pull up let's see, where did I put it? I really love the fact that we have recipes on CrossFit Thrones website now. But here is a great recipe. So when you go to the homepage of the website and you just click on nutrition and then recipes, and then under breakfast is going to be egg muffins. And these are super easy to make, and you can throw them in you can make a dozen, and then you throw them into a Ziploc bag and put them in the freezer, and then they reheat really easily. So then you can do what?
I was just saying that's awesome.
Yeah. So, and these are great. So just like I was mentioning a minute ago, I like, the reason why they suggest here 5 eggs, 5 egg whites is because eggs are going to be a little bit higher in the fat content. And so you want to try to make sure you have that balance there, because they're also using 6 ounces of ham for this one. I sometimes will buy like the pre-cooked bag of like bacon bits, not like bacon bits like the brand, because those are the devil. They're terrible. You'll burp out the rest of the day. But actual like chopped bacon that comes in a bag. And I like that because I can put small volume, and it's got a higher fat content for bacon. But when you're using a small volume, then it kind of balances it out. But you can do half eggs, half egg whites. You want to, I've learned the hard way, don't do this in a metal muffin pan, because you will never get the egg white or eggs out of the muffin pan. I'd recommend getting they have like silicone muffin pans that you can use, and they're great because you can make your egg muffins and then you just flip the whole thing inside out and it like rinses out like a breeze. It's wonderful. But adding in mushroom, onion, bell pepper, spinach, and then they added broccoli. I've never done that before. I'm sure that would add a little bit of volume to it and also some crunch. But I mean, throw some salsa on top of these, and then have it with a side of fruit. And so you can look at the bottom here, and you can see this is 5 grams of fat, 10 grams of protein, and it's only got 2 grams of net carbs. So you take that, the carbohydrates minus the fiber. That probably comes mostly from the broccoli and the spinach. But these are great. So 5, 10, add in 15 grams of carbs, and that is like perfectly balanced. That's the zone method, which is what our diet is like. Basically, it's loosely based on. Zone diet, you can do like 1, 2, 3. So 5, 10, 15 on your fat, protein, carbs. And that will get you 30% of your calorie is going to be from fat and carbs, and 40% is going to be from protein if you do it that way. What questions do you guys have for me?
I think it's cool. So like the egg muffin kind of cool because it's like you build your plate by the muffin. You know, like it's got all the parts in there, and then maybe I need to add some carbs to get the plate balanced out. But I've already got all my fats, and I've already got all my protein, and then some of my carbs. Even if say I have like 3 muffins or whatever,
Yeah.
I'm actually doing pretty good there.
Yeah. It's great.
I
And
think I feel like for me, it's like how I told you I learned how to run when I was 35.
uh
I feel like I'm learning how to eat. Does that sound familiar?
yes.
Does anybody else feel that way too?
Yes.
Yeah, absolutely.
Like just eat the food, right? I mean, you just eat food, and I don't know how long I've just eaten the food.
Yeah.
Right.
Well, my goal for you guys is that by the end of this 28 days, you're not going to have to like obsess over food. I want food to be something that is you understanding, fueling your body a little bit better, and having a better relationship with food, and being able to feed your family and feed yourself well. So,
Right.
Yeah.
Sometimes I get caught up on I focus so much on protein, and I don't know.
Mm-hmm.
I've been noticing lately when I'm just eating to satisfy instead of trying to hit numbers.
mhm.
I'm typically satisfied at I don't 130 grams of protein opposed to 180.
Yeah.
So is that okay, or do I need to make sure? Because I don't want to slam a protein shake if I don't have to. You know what I mean?
Absolutely, yes. And we talked about that a little bit, right? We talked about the fact that you want to try to avoid using the supplements as much as possible, because they're not going to provide you with sustainable energy. Having supplemental foods is okay. I just try to make it like a last resort, So for me,
Yeah.
even having like a protein shake for breakfast, or having what do we talk about? Kodiak cakes for breakfast, and then a protein shake for lunch, and then a protein bar for mid-afternoon snack, and then having Casey in at bedtime. I try to have for breakfast this morning, confession, for breakfast this morning, I had fajita chicken with an apple. And I heated up the fajita chicken in a skillet, and then I added some cheese to it. It was amazing. But
Sounds good.
some days
That
that's
sounds good.
how it goes. For breakfast, I'll have a cup of tuna, and for me, I had to kind of get away from the idea of I have to have breakfast foods at breakfast time. I have to have
Right.
just eat food. Eat what sounds good. Eat what is available. Eat what's in your fridge, instead of saying, I gotta go out and buy this one ingredient. Work with what you have.
Right.
I end up having a lot of meals where I just have chunks of sandwich meat for my protein source. But realistically, so I'm going to show you guys here. Let me find it. Did I do this?
But I'm not gonna lose muscle mass if I get 130.
Nope. Can y'all see my calculator?
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay. So
Wow.
I showed you guys on the power, or when I went through my nerd session, you want to be taking in 0.3 grams of protein per pound of body weight, up to 2 pounds or 2 grams of protein per pound of body weight. So if you weigh, in theory, 170 times 0.3, 51 grams of protein is going to be the minimum that your body needs for just general health.
Okay.
So taking in 130 grams of protein, so 130, if you weigh 170, is going to be 76%. Wait, I don't think I did that right. Kim, help me math.
Oh my gosh. So you're trying to do it backwards.
Yeah.
So
That's 75% of her body weight in protein.
yeah,
It's not wrong, is it?
No, not at all.
that's a
That's
lot.
0.7, that would be 0.7 grams of protein per pound body weight.
Okay.
And
I just make sure that I'm not gonna lose any. any muscle.
No, ma'am.
Okay.
No.
That's all that really matters, you know.
Right. Yeah,
Yeah.
absolutely. That's what matters.
We work hard
Okay.
for those gains. You don't want to lose them.
I know. I can't believe
So what about on those days that my sweet husband gets donuts for breakfast
Uh-huh.
and he's like, I got you a blueberry fritter or whatever.
Uh-huh.
So
So good.
Yes.
so on those days, of course I wouldn't be like, screw your fritter, I'm not eating that shit. You know, like I wouldn't say that. I would just eat like half the fritter or like some of it and then have a protein source too. Is that reasonable? And then
Absolutely.
like
And for me,
Yes.
this whole process for me has been, it has been essential for me to be able to eat with the family. Because I
Yeah.
remember at one point in, like back in 2008, 2009, when I first started doing, I mean, because I told you guys in the kickoff, like this is exactly the process that I followed when I lost all that weight way back when. And for me, like I remember Chad getting so mad at me one day and saying, like, why are you not eating with the family? And I said, I am eating with the family. I just, whenever I make a pan full of breaded fish for the family, I'm going to eat the fish that's not breaded because, for one thing, I found out that I'm allergic to the rice that's in the breading, but also it gives me a little bit less carbs and a little bit less calories in turn. And so being able to fit this into my entire life is really important. So I want to be able to make sure that when somebody at like at work, when somebody brings a dish, I'm not going to say, oop, nope, I can't, it's got carbs, I can't eat that. You know, I want to be able to say, okay, I'm going to have a little bit and I'm going to have some wiggle room in my life and I'm mentally going to be just fine with taking
Right.
a little bit extra, you know, because when you look at the big picture, the goal on big picture is to make sure that overall you are holding yourself accountable for the food choices that you're making, and in general, just improving your overall health. And that's going to be the goal here, because you have to have a little bit of forgiveness and a little bit of wiggle room. And Kim, as you change the foods that you're providing for the rest of the family, because you're changing the way that you're eating as well, hopefully that'll change everything, you know, or have a little bit of an impact on, you know, Jay's blood sugar has been an issue. So being able to provide him with more protein at dinner, more non-starchy veggies at dinner is going to help him with feeling full longer, sustaining energy while he sleeps, so that when he wakes up in the morning, he doesn't feel the need to go and buy donuts.
Yeah.
Right.
You know?
Yeah.
Like I said on day one, like I'm not going to tell you guys to take anything away from your life, because that's not realistic and that is not sustainable. So I don't want you to feel the need to completely eliminate donuts or anything like that, you know. But through this process of adding in the non-starchy veggies, adding in more hydration, balancing your plate, it changes the way that your body reacts to food. And so it changes you in that you crave less of the sugar and you crave less of those sweets, and you don't feel very good when you do eat them. So rather than saying, I don't want to eat those because it's not on my diet, you would say, I don't think I'm going to feel very good when I eat that. But thank you for the thought.
Yeah.
I think I ran into that blueberry cake donut a few months ago.
Yeah.
They're so good. But like part of my whole sweet tooth, I like the sweet and the salty at the same time.
Mhm.
And so if you get some, you know, egg whites or egg and put some good salt on it, and then you have the blueberry cake donut with it.
Yeah.
kind of takes care of both. And I don't know, like every time I think about donuts, they sound so good. Like in my head, like mentally or emotionally,
Uh-huh.
I'm very
Yeah.
emotionally connected to donuts.
Yes.
Um, but I
Me
think
too.
like, but when I do, like, they sound awesome. But then when I go eat them, it's like, oh, that I'm gonna throw up.
That was
Right.
It's like too much almost
Mhm.
anymore.
Yeah.
Mhm.
But it's still
When
something
you,
to think about. I don't
but when you add into that, I mean, just like you said, when you balance out the high carb, high sugar, high fat volume that you get from having a couple of bites or half of a strudel or whatever it is, then your body's gonna not have that spike and then quick dip. So
Yeah.
so you're like, okay, sure, I will definitely eat part of that blueberry donut that you just brought for me. But with it, I'm gonna have some fajita chicken because that's what I do, or a cup of tuna.
Right.
Oh, that does not sound good. But
No,
okay. It's a good thought.
but somehow I end up doing that. So
Yeah.
I just have my go-to. Like I just have I have like my refrigerator and my cabinets and my freezer and everything. I have them all set up kind of weird. Like I have categories of food. So I've got like a drawer that's all the dairy products. It's like here's where my cheese and my butter and my sour cream are at. And then I have a drawer that has all of the meat. So I've got like all of my sandwich meat, and I've got a bag of like oven roasted or rotisserie chicken or something like that that was frozen, and then thawed out. And I just have it in there. And so I'll be like, man, I'm starving. But before I open the cabinet that has all of the tasty snacks, I'm going to eat some protein and drink some water. And then I'm going to look for a carb. And I
Right.
try to slow myself down that way. And that's why I also, I think I've mentioned to y'all that I always try to start my week of meal prep. I try to always start that process by chopping up bell pepper, cucumber, celery sticks, carrot sticks, stuff like that. Stuff that is on that list of non-starchy veggies that I can just eat them without guilt.
Oh, hey, pro tip. Yvonne is being way awesome. She like prepped some veggies to throw in her scrambled eggs
Yay!
or egg whites, and they're in. She's got them all put together. But pro tip is to cook the egg whites before you add the veggies, or the veggies before you add the egg white. I would just cook your egg whites before you add the veggies, or else you end up with a ton of water
Yeah,
that you don't know what to do.
yeah,
Yeah.
that is true. But
It's crazy.
another pro tip to add to that, one thing that I kind of learned from John, like at first when I saw him do this, I was like, dude, you got issues. But mixing your oatmeal with your egg white, it's actually pretty good.
It's brilliant.
Yeah, and the oatmeal that I buy is it's called Better Oats brand, but they come in like pre-portioned 100-calorie packs, so they have 15 grams of net carbs in them. And so I'll like use my Keurig and make some hot water and put it into my oatmeal, and then I take my egg whites and mushroom, onion, and bell pepper and throw them into a coffee mug and throw the coffee mug in the microwave. Super easy. And so,
Did y'all watch those videos from last night? The Healthy Steps nutrition video. Did y'all watch them?
yeah,
Kind of.
About the sweet potato toast. Did y'all see that?
Oh yeah,
No.
that.
I was like, and like, I wonder if she's getting money on the side from Trader Joe's.
It's
She
like I
plugged,
don't know about sweet potato toast.
we don't have a Trader Joe's in Lubbock, do we?
No.
No, I
Oh,
wish.
She plugged like 3 of their products last night. I was like, what is going on? But sweet potato toast, I was like, all right. Yvonne said we can just make it. I said, okay.
well,
So you put sweet potato on the toast?
No, you slice your sweet potato lengthwise, so you've got like a.
a
And then you,
toast that is sweet
toast.
potato.
So you use that as your toast.
I like.
It's like a sweet potato cake.
Oh yeah.
You know, skinny. Eh.
I could do that maybe.
I don't know. I was trying to pay attention to her staples, like what are her go-tos, and I mean, because I mean, we've all got families, and having a list of go-tos that are just ready to grab and throw, something together. I think the rotisserie chicken has been that's been
Yes.
man, that's been money in the bank for us for the past year. I
Yeah.
don't I don't think we'll ever get away from that. We'll debone it or Yvonne debones it, and then about once a month or once every 2 or 3 months we'll boil the bones down into a chicken stock. So we go
Oh.
bone broth, and I mean that's been really awesome lately. But so there's that, and then I liked the cauliflower mashed cauliflower potatoes, whatever mashed potato cauliflower things, whatever she called them, mashed cauliflowers. And I wondered what else was in there, but I don't know. That sounded really good.
That does
Yeah, I've
sound
never
good.
done that before.
We've done that before, but I can't find frozen mashed cauliflowers.
You gotta mash them. You gotta buy them like diced up and mash
Yeah.
them.
Yeah.
Yeah. Anyway, I thought those were really cool. Those are two really easy go-tos, and the sweet potato toast and the mashed cauliflowers, and then we've got rotisserie chicken almost all the time, so I thought those were really good. I don't know. I gotta get better about building my plate. I've been using and abusing dates
Yeah.
like crazy. Not that they're wrong, but I don't know. I need to add more non-starchy stuff.
Little bit of variety.
Yeah.
Yes. All right. Well, I had hoped that what are they called? Humbly Fed was supposed to join us today, but the people who are on here are the people who have already met them. So.
Are you going to share this with the others so they have access to it since we're recording? Okay.
Yes, and I'll delete the first like 5 minutes of Kim having a heart to heart with her children.
I mean, I don't understand why we have to have snow days. I mean,
Seriously. I know.
Go back.
Get busy.
Chad texted me this morning and he said, "Do not leave the house. The roads are bad." And when he texted
It's
me,
bad.
they were supposed to start at 10 a.m. and he texted me at 11:30 and said they hadn't even left the building yet. Yikes.
Oh.
So, yeah. So I don't know what's happening there.
It's supposed to be worse tomorrow. When
Yeah,
you
it's bad.
miss your window of opportunity, the weather's supposed to get worse.
It is okay.
Oh well.
I just
That's-
need the right 3 days off. So
Hey, Dad.
But we're home anyway, so
Yeah.
The boys they're not even off of quarantine until Thursday, so we're here. So, and then Cooper has to do virtual school, so we've been on meetings all day.
I did hear that.
Yeah.
Are they cancel classes?
No, they're doing the asynchronous learning or whatever.
Yeah, they've got to quit. I may or may not come at 6 today. I think I'm gonna see what it looks like out there.
If you can make it at 5:15, I think it'd be if the weather should not be too bad by then. But if I had my preference, I'd like to get Sky out of there sooner rather than later.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, I'm gonna give Marky and maybe Marky and Kelly will pick me up because they've got a truck and
Yeah.
the Jeep doesn't really have good tires, so
All right. Yeah, give it a go and see if they'll grab you and come at 5:15.
I bet they will.
Okay.
all right.
Thank you, Heather.
Any other questions for me?
Thank you for nerding out for us.
Yes. Girl.
It's
You're
what
so
I
smart.
I just
Okay, well we'll see you later.
all right.
See you later. Bye.
Bye.